Hi airline, I would like one business class ticket from Boston to Beijing, please. Okay, that will be $14,000. Oh, forgot to mention, I'm using these points right here. Oh, of course, Mr. John. Your new total is $16.40. Next. Hey airline, I'd also like a business class ticket from Boston to Beijing, please. Okay, that's going to be $14,000. Oh, no thanks. I want to pay what the other guy paid, $16.40. Oh, him? He used his points for max value, and you don't have any points, so that's going to be $14,000. Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. For our new viewers, my name's John of John's Finance Tips. I'm the guy who's had well over 50 credit cards and 10 million miles in points so that you don't have to. Today's video, really special one, because I get this question all the time. John, how do I get the most value from my credit card points? Well, today, that's exactly what I'm going over, and more specifically, I'm gonna show you how to get the most value from the most valuable point program in the entire credit card space, Bilt Points. And be sure to stick around to the end because that's where I'm gonna show you how I booked a $14,000 business class ticket for a trip next year, and all I had to do was pay less than $20. The video is gonna break down into two sections. Section 1, high-level overview of the Bilt MasterCard, one of my favorite no annual fee premium travel cards on the marketplace today. Section 2 are the 6 ways in which you can get the maximum value from your Bilt Points. So if that sounds like a plan, pop a squat, tap that little thumb icon, let's get rocking. Part 1, Bilt MasterCard overview. Sign-up bonus. Doesn't exist. Earnings. This card will earn 3 points for every single dollar spent dining, 2 points for every single dollar spent on travel, 1 point per dollar spent everywhere else, and 1 point per dollar spent on rent. Your largest monthly expense, no other credit card is allowing you to earn points for rent, and if they do, you're probably paying a processing fee. Bilt will cover the processing fee if the apartment building happens to be part of the Bilt Alliance, or if your landlord is only taking check or Venmo, Bilt will actually cut a check to your landlord on your behalf and give you the points. And I probably, if I were to guess it, some of you out there are paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, hopefully nothing over $4,000 or $5,000 a month in rent. Why don't you earn points for it? And take the points and redeem it for max value a little later on in the video. The other thing to note about the earnings is on the first of every month, up to now, there's been what's called rent day. On rent day, every single category doubles. So instead of 3x, it's 6x for dining, 4x for travel, 2x for everything else. Fortunately, it's still 1x for rent. But again, nobody is allowing you to earn points for rent and covering that transaction fee. That is the most important thing here. Next up, benefits. This card has transfer partners, which is pretty unheard of for a no annual fee card. Transfer partners such as Hyatt and American Airlines. This card also has Bilt Protect, which is an incredible feature where if you've used most of your credit card balance, don't do that. But if you have, and you still have rent to pay at the end of the month, Bilt, if you allow them to connect directly to your checking account, will say, hey, John's got the cash right here to pay for rent. Instead of charging on his Bilt card, we'll just take the money to pay rent and still give him the points so that A, we don't max out his credit card limit and further hurt his credit score by having a high utilization. That is incredible. This card also offers cell phone protection, and if you use the Bilt MasterCard on car rentals, it offers primary car rental insurance. Annual fee, you might have heard me say it earlier, but it's $0. Folks, to put it into perspective, most credit cards that give you transfer partners, you have to pay an annual fee for. This is free. So my final verdict is, if you pay rent, jump on this card. If you travel and you want a premium travel card with no annual fee, jump on this card. And if you'd like to support my channel, please feel free to use my affiliate link down below to check out the Bilt MasterCard. Part 2, redeeming Bilt Points for maximum value. Real quick, let's level set. You probably hear me talk about points all the time. 10,000 points here, 50,000 points here, 75,000. But what exactly are the value of those points? Well, in order to have a metric to compare value, we need to calculate the cent per point of a particular currency. And to find the cent per point, all you would do is take the dollar value of the redemption and subtract out any associated taxes and fees, divided by the points you're going to use, multiply by 100, and voila. Here's an example to crystallize it. Let's say a $100 flight would cost you 10,000 Bilt points. Well, you take $100 divided by 10,000, and then you multiply that by 100, and it would tell you that this flight is 1 cent per point. In the entire credit card industry, 1 cent per point, baseline. If you're there, great, that's average. That's how much you should expect to get from most points. If you're getting more than 1 cent per point value, you're killing it. If you're under 1 cent per value, you should be doing a little better. So the rest of the video is gonna rank from the lowest CPP up to the highest CPP. All right, pop open your Bilt app, scroll over to Bilt Collection, and this is the 6th most valuable way to use your Bilt points. In Bilt's own words, I'll put them up on screen here. This is what the Bilt collection is. In my own words, it's decor for your home. What's cool here is it seems like some of these art pieces are specific, only available to Bilt users. Now that's cool, but what's hard for me is I can't metric that because you might not be able to buy these art pieces anywhere else. So taking a look here, you have to see whether you feel this piece from Felix Kindelan, hope I didn't butcher that, is worth 25,000 Bilt points, which translated at a baseline value, is it $250 worth? I don't know. I'm not much of an art decor type of guy, so I'll let you determine that. But we can look at two other examples of how you can redeem your points through the Bilt collection for items that you can commonly buy elsewhere. So the first example here is this McQueen table book. Bilt offers this book for a redemption value of 7,500 points. However, if we go to Amazon, this book is $37.99. However, with tax and fees in Boston, it comes out to $40.36. So we would take this and plug into our formula, $40.36 over 7,500 points, you multiply that 100 and you will get 0.54 cents per point. Remember, the baseline is 1, so we're about half of that. The second example, this really cool portable espresso maker. It would cost you 10,000 Bilt points. I went on Amazon, found the same item, and with all the tax and fees added in, that item was selling for $58.33. So we take $58.33, divide that by 10,000, multiply by 100, and we'll get a cent per point value of 0.58. So my verdict, if you were to take your Bilt points and redeem through the Bilt collection, not for the art pieces, but for some of the items that you might be able to find, say on Amazon, I don't really think it's worth it. Coming in at close to 0.5 cent per point, that is a really poor redemption value, considering that the industry average should get you to at least double that at 1 cent per point. So this is gonna come in at 2 out of 5 JFTs. Number 5, if we pop open our Bilt app, scroll over to shopping, we can go ahead and link our Bilt card to our Amazon account. And then when we check out on Amazon, instead of using cash, we can use Bilt points. Now, I don't have my Bilt accounts linked in that way. Didn't really want to go through the trouble. So I went online and found that the cent per point value that Bilt pegs this at is 0.7 cents per point, which is below our baseline of 1, which I really don't think it's a great value. Now, it's a little bit better than redeeming through the Bilt collection if you want to buy these items, but if you can avoid it, I probably wouldn't spend my points in this way. So for me, the verdict is gonna be a 2 out of 5 JFTs. Number 4, scroll on over to the fitness section. And as the name would imply, you can use your Bilt points to redeem for fitness, specifically fitness classes. The two examples we'll take a look at are SoulCycle and Rumble Boxing. First example is SoulCycle. If you're unfamiliar, SoulCycle, spinning classes, many locations all around the country. We'll look at the one specific in New York, and if you wanna book a class here, you have two options. Either you can pay cash, $38, or you can spend 3,000 Bilt points. So we'll plug it into the formula, $38, put that over 3,000 points, multiply by 1,000, and you get a cent per point value of 1.26. Not bad, we're over the baseline. Next up, we have Rumble Boxing. As you can see, a ton of locations in New York and other cities. This will cost you 3,600 Bilt points. I wasn't able to easily find out the dollar value on the Bilt app, but taking a look on Google, if you wanted to do one individual class of Rumble Boxing, it costs you 38 bucks. So $38 over 3,600 points, multiply by 100, and you get 1.05 cents per point. No lie, folks, this one surprised me. I was definitely expecting under 1 cent per point. My final verdict, if this lands squarely between 1 to 1.25 cents per point on redemptions, this isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. So I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 JFTs. If you're closer to the 1, you're probably at 3 out of 5. If you're closer to the 1.25, you get a half point for that. So if you want to get your sweat on, it wouldn't be a bad idea to redeem your Bilt points for one of these exercise classes. Number 3, using your Bilt points for travel. So open up your app, go to travel, and book for travel through the Bilt travel portal. We'll take a look at two examples. The first example, we're gonna book a round trip ticket between Boston and New York. It looks like it would cost me either $98 or 7,825 Bilt points. We take those numbers, plug into formula, $98 over 7,825, multiply by 100, and you're going to get a cent per point value of roughly 1.25 cents per point. Not bad. That's fun, domestic, but let's spice it up a bit. Let's go international. How about a round trip ticket between Boston and Paris? We search it and it looks like the app shows us this trip would cost either 106,090 Bilt points or $1,327. So we'll plug that into our formula, $1,327 divided by 106,090 points, multiply by 100, and you will get 1.25 cents per point. My final verdict for this redemption value, solid. 1.25 cents, a little bit over the baseline. Now, just because I'm very familiar with this program, I know that it's gated at that, so you're not gonna really go over that. But even still, that's a 25% boost on your Bilt points if you just redeem through the travel portal. Overall, I'd say this is between a 3.5 and a 4 out of 5 JFTs. So we'll call it 3.75 out of 5 JFTs. I like that it's over the baseline of 1, but you're gated at 1.25, and there are still 2 options that we haven't discussed on the list that get you more value than that. Number 2, this redemption option is not available on any credit card in the marketplace, period. Open your Bilt tab, scroll over, you're gonna see something that says buy a home. You scroll down, fill in your info, punch it, and Bilt will literally allow you to A, calculate how much money you can borrow, you need to borrow, but also allow you to use your Bilt points on a down payment to buy a house. Because let's say you don't have any premium travel coming up or any travel coming up, and you're like, hey, I've got a stash of Bilt points, what can I do with it? I wanna buy a house. You can use your Bilt points as a down payment. Now, full disclosure, I have not gone through this process. The only question I would have is what lender options do I have? Because as a real estate investor, I like flexibility in choosing what lender I use, because sometimes someone can give you a quote for 6% interest rate, someone could come in at 5.8, and I want the flexibility to go with the 5.8. And I know Bilt are working with lenders on the back end, but let's say we go through the buy a home option with Bilt and they have a recommended lender, can I bring a different lender onto the platform and still use my points as a down payment? That I am not sure of. I'm sure somebody somewhere has the answer and they can comment it down below, but that would be really important to figure out. Nevertheless, this is a really solid option because the value comes in at 1.5 cents per point. And if we compare that against baseline, 50% more than just standard baseline value, this gets a solid 4 out of 5 JFTs. Number 1, the Holy Grail, the most valuable way to redeem your Bilt points, transfer partners. Also, this is the most complicated way to get value from your Bilt points, but don't worry, you've got me, John. I'm gonna walk you through the steps. So transfer partners. What does that mean? That basically means you can take your Bilt points and you can transfer them to an airline or hotel partner. Then you can use the airline or hotel partner's award charts to make a booking. And there is where you're gonna get the most outsized value for your points, period. That's not true just for Bilt, but that's true for all of the other major issuers. American Express, Chase, Capital One, Citi. The difference though is Bilt has a transfer partner that none of them have that delivers some of the most valuable premium redemptions on the marketplace, and we're gonna go over that. But the first example is, I'm gonna show you how you can stay at an all-inclusive resort for free. The first example, we're gonna take a look at Hyatt. Hyatt, I would argue, is one of the most valuable hotel programs in the marketplace. The only other transfer partner to Hyatt is Chase, and that's actually one of the best ways to use Chase points. Specifically though, to get the most value from Hyatt points, you wanna book for an all-inclusive resort, which means your stay comes with food, drinks, entertainment, everything is included. The Secrets Moche is an incredible redemption down in Playa del Carmen. I stayed there this past February. The cash value of a booking, we can see here, is $685. Makes sense, it's all inclusive. But if you were to use points, it would only cost 35,000 Hyatt points. So we plug that into a calculator, 685 divided by 35,000 and multiply by 100. And we get a CPP of 1.95. Almost 2 cents per point value here. That is phenomenal. If you can do it, I strongly recommend it. And the pro tip for getting as many Bilt points as possible, don't just use it for rent, use it for everyday spend, but especially if you live in a roommate situation where you guys are spending 2, 3, 5,000 a month, be the person to use the Bilt card, earn the points, redeem for the free travel. Heck, you could even invite your buddies and be like, hey guys, this is what our points earned us, an all-inclusive stay for 2 or 3 nights at one of Hyatt's top all-inclusive properties. The second example, and this is the pinnacle of value in the points and miles game, for me at least. And what I like to do is travel internationally in business class, lie flat beds. And that is taking my Bilt points and transferring them to American Airlines. More specifically, next year, I'm going with my family back to China to visit family. I haven't been since 2007. It's gonna be the first time my parents are experiencing business class in a fully lie flat bed. I am so excited to be able to do that for them. And of course, I didn't pay cash for the tickets. So how did I do it? I took points from my Bilt MasterCard and I transferred them to American Airlines. But American doesn't actually have the flight. American is in the same airline alliance as Japan Airlines, Oneworld. So I took my American Airlines miles and I booked for a flight in Japan Airlines business class from Boston to Beijing for January of next year. If we took a look at what the cash value of that flight is, you can see it's a little over $14,000 per person, one way. Instead, I was able to book for 70,000 points per person one way, paying $16.40. Now let's calculate the point value. First, we take the cash value of $14,825.90, subtract out the taxes and fees of $16.40. Then we take that entire total, divide it by 70,000 miles, and multiply by 100. And we get 21.15 cents per point. Folks, we're getting 21 times over the baseline value, which is 1 cent per point. This right here is how you get the most bang for your buck when it comes to using your Bilt points, transferring them to American Airlines and booking for these premium business class flights internationally. You've probably heard me say it a bunch of times. One of my favorite ways to fly into Maldives is on Qatar Airways. Q Suite, double bed, in the sky, lie flat. That's $5,000 to $8,000, and that usually costs about 70,000 American Airlines miles. Well, this flight is $14,000 per person, and it costs 70,000 American Airlines miles. So even within the points world, there's some discrepancies. But again, American Airlines, I think, has one of the best partner redemption charts for premium international travel, and you're paying less than 20 bucks for it. Just make sure you're earning as many points on Bilt as possible. So my final verdict and ranking, this is gonna be a 6 out of 5 JFTs, specifically if you can redeem with American Airlines. But for everything else though, of course it is a 5 out of 5 JFTs. Folks, this has been an incredible video. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you have comments, questions, drop them in the section down below. If you haven't already, consider jumping on the Bilt MasterCard, even if you don't pay rent anymore. Disclaimer folks, you can't use this card for mortgages, at least not yet. But it would stand to reason that if Bilt are targeting renters and you can use your card for a down payment, at some point, I imagine the mortgage thing will happen. Right now you cannot, but for now you can still get the card. You can earn the 3x for dining, 2x for travel, double on rent day, transfer it to American Airlines, book some of these crazy flights that I've been doing, or book for Hyatt, or whatever the case may be. Anywho, I will catch you all next week. Peace.